As you guys may know, I've done 2 videos on my 2 trips to Universal Orlando Resorts, and that I promised in my most recent video about my most recent trip to Universal Orlando Resorts that I would make a follow-up video to that video about ranking all 7 rides that I managed to go on during this trip that I couldn't during my last trip to Universal Orlando Resorts. So here it is, people, my ranking of all 7 rides that I managed to go on during my recent trip to Universal Orlando Resorts. But before we get started, please leave a like, comment down below if you want to see any more videos like this, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see any more videos like this or any more videos in general. And if you want to, consider going to my Patreon and become a patron. Link will be in the description, and with all that being said, let's get started with number 7. Flight of the Hippogriff. While the Hippogriff animatronic is very impressive in its own right, and you also get a nice view of Hogsmeade from the highest point of the ride, the problem is that the ride is way too short, and the fact that it's nothing all too special. Number 6. Popeye and Bluto's Built Rat Barges. While the idea of getting soaking wet during the Florida hot sun is nice, and the fact that it did a really good job on executing the cartoony aesthetic of Popeye really nicely, and the ride is very fun in trying not to get soaking wet, the problem is that you're bound to get very soaking wet, and the aftermath of getting soaking wet is not really a good feeling, and plus the drop is a bit of a letdown. Number 5. Men in Black Alien Attack. While I'm still not a big fan of shooting dark rides due to bad aim, I do love its humorous opening cues. Plus, I do love the simple story. You're basically being an MIB agent in training and trying to shoot fake and supposedly real aliens. Plus, with its many animatronics and that crazy spin in the end, it puts it marginally ahead of Popeye's ride. Number 4. Dudley Do-Right Ripsaw Falls. While I'm not familiar with Dudley Do-Right, I do love this ride and even consider it the best water ride in Islands of Adventure. Because I love how it has the perfect middle ground of being wet but not too wet. And I love how there are small drops prepping you for the big one. And that drop was a lot of fun. It also does a great job on making the riders follow a cartoony story about a damsel in distress that needs to be saved by a heroic figure. Overall, the best water ride, minus the theming. Number 3. Transformers The Ride 3D. I said it once and I'll say it again. This ride is just a worse version of Spider-Man. The reason that being is because you just feel like you're just forcefully into the story. To put it simply, it feels like Evac could have protected the Allspark from the Decepticons without you. Whereas the Spider-Man ride has a different feeling. Even if it's small, you feel like you're actually helping Spider-Man in his fight against the Sinister Syndicates. You actually feel like you're actually having an impact on the story thanks to J. Jonah Jameson sending you on a mission to take pictures with the Scoop. Whereas in Transformers, you don't get the same feeling. But with all that being said, I do think that this is a good ride. With an easy-to-follow story, cool action scenes with familiar faces like Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Megatron. Plus, there are many long-shot action scenes that give you many thrills, such as this one right here. Overall, while not as enjoyable as the Spider-Man ride, it is still pretty thrilling and a really decent ride. Number 2. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. While my point still stands that this ride does rely way too much on 3D screens, that's definitely a nitpick compared to everything else about this ride. The opening cue is amazing with the goblin animatronics and the elevator scene. The physical set part of the rides is really awesome, and the roller coaster part of the ride is really amazing. And the drops that it has is really well done, including the one that is technically a 3D screen. And the story this time around does actually make a lot of sense than Forbidden Journey, as this time around, Harry Potter is trying to help everyone get to safety while being chased down by Voldemort and his goons. And the music choice of this ride is very beautiful. Overall, while it does rely a little bit too much on screening, what it does right, and that's why it warranted its 2nd place on the list. Number 1. Revenge of the Mummy. This is single-handedly, no question, the best ride I've ever read on in Universal Studios Florida. as the opening cue does a really good job on bringing you into a museum that is supposedly cursed by a mummy. And the indoor roller coaster part of the ride is really well done. The beginning does a really good job on building up the horror that you're going to experience during the ride, as you experience the creepy scenery caused by the mummy. You even experience real pyrotechnician and going backwards before you actually descend up a roller coaster. And it's not just a slow descent, it's a fast descent, as the mummy wants to take your souls, and your roller coaster takes you through a pitch black room, leading you to an admittedly good fake out, as the mummy tells you that he's not done with you yet, and he takes you through another quick thrilling ride. And though the thrill section is quite quick, it is fun, especially at the end with the physical props and the smokes. Overall, this ride is definitely a must ride for me for the next time I visit Universal Studios Florida and beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, comment down below if you want to see any more videos like this, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content. And if you guys want to, go on my Patreon and become a patron. I'll leave a link in the description. Oh, and in case you guys are wondering, here's a list of all 18 rides that I managed to go on during my last 2 trips to Universal Orlando Resorts. Keep in mind, some of my opinions have changed, so don't expect the lineup to be exactly the same. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys in another random time. See ya!